talking about the birth, atonement, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. 6:35 a.m. Giving Quad board the private jet to go from Lubbock, Texas to Midland, Texas. At 7:15, the plane takes off, bound for Lubbock, Texas. Okay, 8 a.m. In government class, Friedrich McKay is taking over for Jack Fitzmiller, who flew out this morning to present a paper at Lexington, Kentucky, with a chance of hopefully meeting President and Mrs. Clinton. Mr. McKay did a compelling lecture about Constitution ideology in America. 9 a.m. JR meets Karen at the library. Well, JR, it's official. I found my papers to transfer to Lubbock Christian University next fall, she said, taking a book and handing it to JR. I think you should transfer too. Closest thing they got Karen is public relations, and it requires Mrs. Math.
Look what I found in the fold over here. Look, over by the couch.
9 a.m. JR meets Karen at the library. Well, JR, it's official. I filed my papers to transfer to Midland Christian University next fall, she said, taking a book and handing it to JR. I think you should transfer too. Closest thing they got, Karen, is public relations, and it requires business math. I've already taken college algebra and statistics. Well, at least think about it. Jim walks over toward the library and taps his son on the shoulder. JR, let's walk and talk, boy. I need to meet with you in private, Jim said. Sure thing, Dad, Jared said. Karen, I will pick you up at 6 for dinner. They walked to the side of the library. When she transfers, you are not following after that girl. I'm not. They don't have the right major. And besides, I told you yesterday, I'm majoring in public affairs with an emphasis on political communications. That's why I talked you down from going to work with the Heritage Foundation this summer. Because this summer, you're working for me as my speechwriter. Whenever it's time for Slick Willie, he decides to give me that appointment, Jim said. Now, I'll see you when you get out of Spanish class. 10:35 a.m. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Elizabeth has been watching The Price is Right. When Betsy pulls up the car and gets Darren to take her to Permian Oncology Center for her for her chemotherapy. Meanwhile, Betsy was having the cattle brought indoors because of the impending winter. 10:45 a.m. Jim's car parks outside the foreign language building. "Oh yeah, my daddy," Jera said. "Good to see you, Daddy." Jim pulls his car out from the university. "You know, son, I've been doing some thinking," Jim said. "Sure thing. What's up, Dad?" "Well, you know, by next year I'll be in Washington, D.C., and I can't ever see you being driven all the time. And I've been thinking, I can't have my son, my firstborn son, riding around in some rinky-dink car. So, don't get your hopes up. There might be a surprise Christmas." "Like what, Daddy? A Cadillac?" "Now, why would I give my boy a Cadillac?" No. You're going to ride in something similar. Considering what your daddy's rode in when he was in Vietnam, riding out to them plains. Okay. They go to Rooster's Texas Barbecue near Texas Tech, where Jim has a 2-rib plate and JR has a large chopped beef barbecue sandwich and potato salad with a root beer. Jim, however, decides to have a beer. 11:45 a.m. "Alright, Dad, listen. I know how you and Mama and Kyle and Grandma feel, but please, no one's been calling me Junior the past few years. You just call me JR? Well, let's see. I know I can be jealous sometimes, boy. But I haven't noticed and met your professors and your friends and your advisors have been calling you JR. So I guess JR it is. But you need a Texas Tech cap with your name engraved on it. First, 1 p.m. In statistics class, Stephanie Rogers is teaching about correlation analysis, and JR is taking copious notes, knowing that the exam for statistics is going to be next Wednesday. Meanwhile, at the same time, his father is in a Texas Railroad Commission meeting. They are talking about getting ready for the December annual report, where he would be announcing that he would be resigning from the commission in order for Governor Ann Richards to appoint a new chairman. Since March, Jim had not been a fan of what Governor Richards was doing for the oil industry. So his plan was for having elections to bring her down. 3:35 p.m. In his dorm room, JR is listening to his tape recording of the Rush Limbaugh show. Kevin McDonald had recorded it while he was away. Tomorrow, JR would meet at the Dean of Students office to clear his schedule for next spring. His plan was to have interpersonal communications and Spanish on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and government and petroleum geology on Tuesdays and Thursdays. JR learned that the lab and the second part according to George Hooper would be self-paced and optional. Of course, to his relief, Associate Dean Ryan Jacobson would not be the first authorities approved JR's schedule. Raina, JR's schedule that would fall into the hands of Dr. Andrew Harmon, JR's new advisor. JR would meet with him Friday afternoon, 4:25 p.m. JR is relaxing in his dorm talking to Kevin McDonald and Charlie Nation about his dinner date with Karen Crider when a knock comes to the door. "Surprise!" a familiar voice said as JR answers the door. "Uncle Carl," JR said, "you must know that Daddy is in town." I've already gone to see him." JR. "Once I just want to see you." "You're not following that girlfriend of yours to another university next year, are you?" Carl asked. "You really must have been talking to Daddy." "No, I'm not giving this advice out of selfish desire like your father. I'm doing this because I know your granddad, and I know he would not want you to go to another university and follow some girl. He wants you to get your bachelor's degree here at Texas Tech University." All right. I entertained it until I found out that they don't have the right major for me. I'm staying here, but not because of Dad, but because of Granddad. You was a scary-looking little kid sometimes when I came to see you, after your father would run out mad. With your brain, I tell you what, I came and always reassured you. I always made sure that your father did right by you and your mama. One of both of them was always drinking when I was a little kid.